Hello guys and gals, wait. Today I'd like to tell you about a certain business that I stumbled upon recently. There's this company called LotusPro, and apparently it's selling $40 keypads for Osu, a popular rhythm game made by a smug Australian dude. Lotus claims to be making the most premium keypad the Osu community will ever see, calling it a stamina cheat pad, bragging about absolutely everything it's made of, from PCBs to even its rubber feet. They also say they're a company for the Osu community, by the Osu community, whatever that would mean, and sponsored multiple Osu tournaments and giveaways. But now there's one thing I've noticed about the business that's not very premium. This made me dig a little deeper into what this company is all about, and boy, let me tell you, from what I've seen, there is much more to Lotus than just failing to send keypads on time. Once upon a time, on the planet Earth in the United States of America, lived a man. The man had many names: Fantasy, Mirror, 97, Piano Note, K-Devs, Amaterasu, Rora, and more. But let's just call him Chris. Most people believed that Chris was a nice person when they first spoke to him, but there was one thing they didn't know at the time. You have to fact check every single thing he says. Chris was a pathological liar. His lies went so far that at one point he told his, at the time, significant other that he lived in Japan with a working visa for his language proficiency, composed music and interned for NOAA because his uncle had connections. In Japan, he got stabbed 10 to 13 times in the chest by his Japanese ex-girlfriend, after which his financial situation began struggling, so he resorted to drawing art for a living. Now, just before you say something like, did that really happen? I'll stop you first and say that it definitely did not, because his Japan story falls apart when you find out that his Japanese is incredibly lackluster to begin with. So why am I talking about this Chris person? Because Lotus Pro is owned by the very same Chris. This was just one of the prime examples of how much Chris lies, and there is much more than just that. But we're gonna talk about it a little later. But first, we have to talk about Rosecables. So, Christian Rose, and I'm not doxing him, this is the name that's publicly available under the Open Corporates page of the company he was running. Yeah, so the company he was running was called Summit Cables, which he founded somewhere in the middle of 2019. This company was selling custom cables for the mechanical keyboard community and had received quite a bit of traction. In about September 2020, the company was rebranded from Summit Cables to Rosecables. The business was fairly successful, resulting in Chris hosting several collaborations with other keyboard and keycap manufacturers and designers such as TikTok with Marshmallow switches, Linworks, and various other JMK set designers with matching cables. Due to incredibly poor management, huge backlog for Summit Cables had been building up throughout the years, meaning that many customers just weren't getting their orders on time, if at all. Due to the lack of transparency, they started facing complaints and public backlash from customers. There was absolutely no way of getting an answer about your order without directly going through Chris, despite there being a whole team behind the business. And I repeat, customers had to DM Chris directly for any chance at a resolution. And Chris usually had 3 types of responses to those customers. Response type 1. He would mold at the customer, guilt-tripping them into feeling like they were being an unreasonable pain in his very stressful life running a successful business. The response type 2 would be that he would start humble bragging about how amazing he or his business was and promise that he would personally take care of your order to be shipped out as soon as possible. The response type 3 is that he would just start shift blaming the delay on everything but himself. Be it his mental health, bad weather, PayPal locking his account, his postal office losing packages, material delays like alien invasion, I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure there'd be one more point added to this list after this video goes live. Since all of this Rosecables thing was just so confusing to me, I decided to learn more about Rosecables and his business while I was still alive. And so I interviewed Mai, his ex-girlfriend who worked in Rosecables while it was still known as Summit Cables. She's also the author of the big document on Chris, his behavior, and the scammy red flags Summit Cables displayed, which we are gonna talk about later in the video.
So I'm Mai, I'm an ex of Chris, and I worked for him in Summit Cables from August 2019 to February 2020. Since we broke up, I've been kinda watching over the business, because I knew Chris, and I knew the business wouldn't last long.
Can you tell me like of any internal problems Chris had with like his staff maybe, or like with the orders, how he handles his shit, all that stuff?
So his staff consisted of his family and his online staff, which was just a bunch of people he scouted on his server. When it came to his staff online, there was a big difference between like how he favored them. I know some people got paid, although very little, and some people that didn't get paid at all.
People had also reported that he had been sending them fake shipping labels. And don't get me wrong, these shipping labels are very real. The labels are created and paid for, but the package ends up never getting dropped off to USPS, which results in a dead shipping label with 0 updates. Normally, e-commerce businesses do send their packages shortly after the label is created. In Rosecables' case, however, they printed shipping labels to give customers the illusion to their order being processed, when in reality Rosecables had nothing to give, hence the name fake shipping label. Eventually, when the backlog got too much, Chris packed his shit and disappeared as of February 2021. At that point, Rosecables shut down and was handed over to a friend who was going to fulfill all remaining backlog for the company. But despite this, absolutely nothing changed from February to April, with the same false promises and no orders being fulfilled. By May, the customers lost their biggest point of communication with the company, the Discord server. Apparently it was deleted by hackers. Nobody has seen Chris ever again, until... In the same month, Rosecables closed down, LotusPro pops up. And it's owned by Chris. Just for clarification, Lotus's first appearance was the creation of their Twitter account on February 2021. People immediately began noticing the similarities in setups, such as the desk mats, the camera he used, between the photos shared on the Lotus account and Rosecables. The most obvious piece of evidence that Lotus equals Rosecables was that before Lotus's Twitter was even created, you can see that the Rosecables one posted a photo of the Lotus 87 keyboard. Nevertheless, Lotus continued to deny everything. At first, he would flat out lie that the owner of Rosecables and Lotus were two different people. But then June rolls around, and Chris officially registers LotusPro as an LLC in Iowa. This meant that his ownership of Lotus was publicly available and undeniable. This forced Chris to admit that he is behind Lotus, to which afterwards he began changing the story to that he isn't the owner and ownership was transferred to his co-founder Vex. Though of course that's a lie too, because when we fast forward to today, he's still the owner and head of the company. After the news of his ownership was public, he posted a strange announcement on Lotus Discord server about the delays and himself. Let's take a look at it. This is a long read. You can pause it to read it if you want to, but I'm just gonna summarize it. So, first of all, he says that Lotus is a new company that is a community project by the Yosu community and for the Yosu community, again, like whatever that means. He also says that Lotus is a hard company to make and it's a new product with a new idea, and I'm not exactly sure how an acrylic sandwich keypad is a new idea, but like, go off, I guess, King. He also talks about the troubles they went through with making the product and that he ordered 500 PCBs at the start of the business. He also says that acrylic is out of stock and prices are high, but they're getting out orders under order 1500. Then he talks about how he is Christian Rose and had run a company a while ago in 2019 to 2020 that had issues. In this section, Chris gives us a sob story of how his Cerakoder left him in the middle of Black Friday with like a big amount of backlog. Lastly, he says that he will not run away from this problem of his past, which he was already doing, but okay. He admitted he fucked up, learned from it, and has grown from it. 11 days after that coming clean announcement, he he finally said that he was Rosecables and provided evidence and information on that company. He had also mentioned elsewhere in public and in private later on that he was finally out of debt, which would mean that he's paid off the Rosecables customers entirely. Do you think that all Rosecables customers got refunded?
I would like to point out that before Summit Cables moved on to Shopify, he did his buys through Google Forms. So he would make customers fill in a Google form and he would send them individual PayPal invoices. In 2019, December, I helped him make spreadsheets that he made for Olivia and Fuyu collaborations. The first one is Olivia with 150 units. It says here that everything is green marked. According to this spreadsheet, which was last updated on January 2020, it's all green marked, right? But if you go on Reddit, there's a lot of comments saying that they haven't received their cables. It's not only 10 people that refunded. And I know for a fact that 2 of those people is me and my friend. The second spreadsheet is the Olivia raffle responses. He was supposed to pick out 10 winners. There's, I think, a little bit more than 10 winners here. It's still yellow marked. Yellow marked would mean it started, I think. And I have a feeling that he just forgot that these orders existed. I have a last spreadsheet. So this is a collaboration between Fuyu. You can see here, it's all yellow marked. There's even some white marked at the bottom. Only one fulfilled. He last touched this document, I think, in May 2020. He has since not touched this at all. The point I want to get across is that back in the days, he used to do Google Forms. Google Forms is not something he can track in Shopify. So no matter how many Shopify screenshots he sends, it doesn't change that there is a lot of hidden orders.
So before that, basically everything's just lost.
Before that, everything is lost, or it's only he who can see the orders. And I think he would be able to see them on PayPal.
I did more asking around and spoke to someone who also knew Chris during Summit Cables. He said that the Cerakoder situation was Chris's own fault because he basically did not even look for another Cerakoder after his original supplier shut down. And according to this someone, there actually were people in the community itself willing to help him, but he never reached out to them, nor did he ever reach out to any other vendor. Why? Only Chris himself knows, probably. Also, about the 500 PCBs that he ordered in the first announcement, that number doesn't line up to what he said on February 23rd, where he said he ordered roughly 1000 PCBs. But well, he said he's learned and changed since then, so let's see how well that played out. This is the huge info dump part. I'll put a timecode for you right here if you're not ready to watch it entirely. So for those who are staying, here I'll be talking about the updates posted in the Lotus Discord server, mostly from the updates channel. Take note of what he's saying, you'll notice pretty quickly that they don't add up. Let's just start with the updates from August onwards. And just for extra context, Lotus uses Shopify to sell their products. Each customer will receive an order number, and order numbers begin at order number 1000. This means that the first customer is order 1001. August 5th. He announces that there is a PCB delay due to manufacturers prioritizing producing 250,000 PCBs for the Steam Deck. In case you can't already tell that that's definitely a lie, I'm here to tell you that the manufacturer would not share that kind of sensitive info with anyone, like ever. With a company as large as Valve, they'd make the manufacturers sign an NDA to protect their products. So here we got our first red flag, and just for convenience sake, let's keep this little counter up here. Moving to August 16th. At this point of time, the latest order number is around order 2000. He posted an announcement to have bought a batch of 2000 PCBs for September, and in the general chat he says that he will get another 2000 for October as well. This is 4000 PCBs in total. This number is important, you should keep it in mind. August 19th. Announcement that the pre-orders are to be shipped in mid to late September. 3 days later, he also announces that when the PCBs arrive, the store will be in stock only. Then fast forwarding to mid-September, September 16th. There's no sign of shipping the pre-order orders, and he mentions that 200 plus keypads will be out by the end of September. And then, by the end of September, he posts an email from supposedly the manufacturer. Apparently the mass order is ready and that they have a traditional holiday from September 26th to October 7th. This means that his PCBs will not arrive till October. September ends, the 200 plus keypads that were to be sent out still have not been sent out. October 8th, our legend is saying that 1000 PCBs, which were supposed to be here in September, are on their way. And like, didn't he say that he ordered 2000 PCBs back in August? What happened to the other 1000? Who knows? He also closes the store's pre-orders and says that they'll reopen with in-stock sales in late November or December. Then on October 14th, the PCBs from August finally arrive, and he proudly pings and tweets that he got the 1000 PCBs. But then, from those very same pictures in the thread where he shows them off, there is a picture of the box, and man, I didn't know that 1000 read like that. Unlike what he claimed on August 22nd, there's no sign of in-stock sales since the PCBs have arrived. Though he continued to say that there will only be in-stock sales in late November to early December, just like what he said on October 8th. Also, by October, he was supposed to get the second batch of 2000 PCBs. What happened to them? This is the first batch that was supposed to be in September. And spoiler warning, there won't be any mention of the other 2000 PCBs for the rest of this and even till today. The next day, October 15th, he promises 350 keypads will be made in the next few days, and tells us that orders 1600 to 1800 are first on the line. October 26th, he claims that he has started assembly of 500 plus keypads, which would put us on orders 1500 to 2100. On October 29th, he now says that the first batch is going to be shipped soon. Then on 30th, he says that he's almost done with orders 1600 to 1900, which means that the 350 keypads he said he was going to finish in a few days on October 15th took up to 2 weeks, not a few days. On the last day of October, he promises that 1600 to 1800 will start shipping next Thursday on November 4th or Friday on November 5th, as well as 1800 to 2000 the week after. November 5th arrives, and there's absolutely no signs of the promised 1600 to 1800 shipped out. Moving on to November 8th, he claims that everything up to order 2200 will be done by November 16th, and promises the delayed 1600 to 1800 will be done this week. On the 13th, he claims that the shipping will begin the next day. Then on the 14th, the very next day, we got no signs of shipping.
Then he mentions that he's working on backlog before continuing 1600, but didn't he say that he was already done with the backlog back on August 22nd? So this entire time he's been talking about shipping orders after 1600 while knowing he still had backlog that he hasn't finished yet?
Keypads has not been shipped, neither 1600 to 1800, nor 1800 to 2000, nor even the 3K keypads. And also said on his Twitter that 1600 to 1800 will be shipped this week. By the 16th and 17th, there were no signs of orders up to 2200 being shipped. And on this 19th, he's saying that they're finally breaking through 1600. And then this Chad has the balls to say that he's apparently confident that orders up to 2300 will be done by December 1st. Anyway, on November 22nd, he claims that they've packed 200 orders. This would put them at order 1800 if we are to believe that they're done up to order 1600. Then on November 30th, this man says that orders 1600 to 1800 are shipped the next day. And so this man, who I remind you was very confident in shipping up to 2300 by December 1st, is still on the grindfest on those poor 200 keypads. And that would mean that we haven't seen almost any progress since the first time he mentions orders from number 1600 back on October 16th. December 3rd. He blames the delay on keycap shortage, which to me doesn't make much sense. He's physically with all of his supplies. Why didn't he know he was going to run out of keycaps and order before he ran out? On the 12th, he claims to have sent out 1000 orders and refunded 200. This number doesn't add up. A refunded order still counts as an order number. For example, 2 people order something from Shopify. Their order numbers should be 1001 and order 1002 respectively. If order 1002 refunds, the next person who orders will still be ordered 1003 because 1002 still exists. This means that 200 refunds and 1000 orders would put him at order 2200 right now, except his last post he said he was still in the 1600. On the 13th, he claims to have sent 100 orders the day before that, and will send 400 to 500 the next day. This means that from order 1600, he has sent up to order 2100 at minimum. But then on the 15th, he claims to have sent orders to the US up to order 2002. Between 1600 to 2002, that's 400 orders, not the 500 to 600 he had claimed 2 days prior. It's also not possible that all of the orders from order 1600 to 2002 are US orders, so that 100 and 400 to 500 figure does not add up at all. He also claims his total sent orders is 1000 to 1200, as well as mentions that he will begin working on EU orders the next day. Also, it's mid-December already. What happened to the in-stock only in November to early December claim? Man's still dealing with a 900 plus order backlog. So the next day, 16th of December, he says that the EU batch is being sent out, and on 18th he promises orders up to 2200 before Christmas. And then on the 27th he hosts an AMA. In this AMA, he says that at the start of the business he had ordered 1000 PCBs, which is a lie.
Keep in mind, like, the very first group buy we did, we had to buy 1000 PCBs out of our own pocket, which was a lot of money at the time. Then we had to buy thousands more. Then we took more and more pre-orders, and now we have 2000 orders, and it's like, whoa, that's kind of a lot of orders.
500 PCBs add up to about the time that he ran out of PCBs and had to order more in August. And for the most part, he's been talking about a tablet he's apparently going to make, mentioning that he hired a lawyer for defamation and another lawyer for patents for the tablet. During the AMA, Chris refuses to say much about the tablet because the patents, apparently.
Personal as in, you might be actually leaking stuff you legally can't. Yeah, like, the reason, like, dude, there's a lot of patents and shit, like, involving products that are already cemented, like the tablet. So you have to be extremely careful. Like, you can't just release anything. Keypads are like whatever. That's like very like standard, but...
He later on tells his in-house worker Vex that everyone was asking about the tablet, and from the way Vex responded, it sounded like he had no idea about the patents or about the tablet itself.
They were generally just asking me questions about the tablet, like thoughts on the design, general information about the store.
Yeah. I think it would be really cool to actually get the tablet off the ground. Like,
there's a lot of lawyer stuff we have to go through, patent stuff.
I mean, there's a lot we can do with, like, just a CNC and, like, a 5mm panel of acrylic. Kind of just routing it out, then lasering it down. Having a nice flat surface for a tablet like that.
Yeah.
Good housing. Very clean look, too.
I'm willing to say that Chris basically pulled the tablet promises out of his ass and doesn't even have something as simple as a draft photo. The last and most important thing he said was that the Lotus store will be closing mid-January and will reopen once all the remaining orders are done. Honestly, I don't think they'll ever finish their backlog and become in stock only, or well, stop lying about the orders at least. And so, let's summarize what we've seen here so far. This guy claims that he got fucked up by PCB manufacturers since they are focusing on producing Steam Deck PCBs first, which there's no way he would know due to NDAs. He ordered 1000 PCBs, yet on the very same box you could clearly see 751 pieces. Claimed to have 300 keypads done by a few days, instead he's approaching it after 2 weeks. Never sent 3 different batches of keypads on the promised date, one of which should have been sent a week earlier. Had great confidence in sending 700 keypads by December 1st, yet nearing that date claimed to be still approaching the 1800s, which tells us there was basically no progress ever since the middle of October. Had his claims contradicting his own claims from before by saying that he was up to order 2200 when he was just mentioning how he was working on 1600s to 1800s. In his AMA and in the now old deleted questions channel, clearly lied about having 1000 PCBs ordered at the start of the business when he actually ordered 500. So far, the only thing we have examined is Lotus's own update channel. Yet we're already surrounded by red flags, all telling us that our hero hasn't changed one bit. But wait, there's more! So far, we've only been through things that Chris said himself, and even then we got a bunch of stuff that is not adding up. However, what if I told you that there are quite a bit of discrepancies regarding even the stuff he said he already shipped? Ladies and gentlemen, what you're seeing here is the tracking number for order 1294. As we can see here, it hasn't even budged since September 16th, 2021, where it has received shipping information. This could only mean one thing. This is a fake shipping label. You see, creating a tracking number is actually pretty easy, and what Chris has supposedly done here was creating a tracking number but never actually attaching any package to it. Thus, it's not at all moving from the point of when it was created. Sounds familiar? Order 1294 actually asked Chris about the ever-stagnant shipping label, to which Chris got mad and refunded them. And this isn't a single example either. We got orders 1229, 1459 and possibly 1505 that all had the same story, at least last checked on 13th of December. I've even stumbled upon another poor soul that was order 1122, who had started noticing Chris's bullshit and documenting it by himself in an Imgur album. Let's take a look at it. So first of all, we can see that our client noticed that Lotus has been claiming it had 150 keypads shipped out, yet until June 23rd, 122nd order didn't even get a tracking number. This guy also attached their own label, which is staying like this until today, so another fake tracking, and after he confronted Lotus about this again, this was the response. So apparently the package got lost at PO and they are gonna drop a new one today with a new label, after which he sends a new tracking number. A little later, Lotus is saying that they've apparently recovered the old package, and of course the customer got no update, neither about the recovered keypad nor about the new one. Wanna see what's about the new package's tracking number? Well, here it is. And according to the album, as of November 18th, it also hasn't budged. Same old story. The guy has apparently received a partial refund, which he didn't ask for, but until this day he hasn't received anything from Lotus. Instead, Lotus took his money and wasted his time. In the end, he just bought another non-Lotus keyboard. Happy ending for him, I guess. Yet another fake shipping label was sent on 15th of June 2021. A user bought a prototype Lotus 87 directly from Chris. He was given a fake shipping label too. The label still looks like this today. And lastly, let's talk about this list. So I spoke to one of the former Lotus staff, Cole. What I wanted to ask is, like, first of all, when did you even become staff and when did you leave?
September 5th and sometime in December, like I think like 24th or 22nd or something. Basically, I was like ticket man. I helped everybody on the tickets.
Oh yeah, so like customer support?
Yeah.
Despite not being one physically in the store, there was a mess in the Lotus staff chat already.
It was horrible. Imagine like you just grabbed a ton of fucking teenage kids and then put them in fucking business jobs and then they just like laughed at all the customers. I have an image in here that kind of, this one was the first one that kind of started everybody just like laughing at people in there. I wasn't really too much of a fan of it. People just start sending shit in the staff chat like that and then being like, bro, this guy's so stupid. He doesn't know what a PCB is. What should I do?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And then Chris would be in there like, here, I could just like word for word give you one of the messages. It's like, fucking parents, dude. I have a group buy product or some shit like that. Like, I think that we have pictures of the announcements. He's like, stop making your fucking parents email me. I'll refund your order if I see a parent emailing me. Just like fucked.
One of the things he told me was this thing called the ASAP list.
Okay, so Chris basically just came up with this bullshit. There's all these orders that he just leaves behind for like no apparent reason. He's just like, oh, I don't want to do this specific order because I'm lazy. So I'll just leave it. And then we find it and he says, oh shit, I missed those orders. Put it on the ASAP list.
So like...
Literally.
So
and then
like,
Aubrey puts an ASAP list and then I just put everything in there with everybody else.
This list has been around in Lotus since October. The latest ASAP list Cole had seen from the staff chat was from December 13th. On this date, there were orders under order 1560. This is contrary to what Chris said on November 16th and 17th. Hell, there are even orders 1051 up till the higher ends of 1400s there. And if that was not damning enough, in a few of the orders, you can see comments by the staff that USPS is waiting for the package. Did this person just get sent a fake shipping label? It's just insane that they kept this list updated through not a spreadsheet, but a copy-pasted Discord message.
No, it was a Discord thread.
Also, it was just like a big Discord message or something.
Yep.
It's not even pinned, they just copy, edit and send again during every update. No wonder orders are going missing. They're that disorganized. Cole didn't have access to the Shopify stores, so he didn't see the full scope of unfulfilled orders and was shortly kicked out of the Lotus team due to his connections with Tokaku and Mai. Epic. Very epic. Though it's worth noting that there are orders in the ASAP list that have been fulfilled already. A number of orders on the list have appeared in order updates. Has the entire list been fulfilled yet? I wouldn't know. I'll touch on this later on in the video. Surprise, surprise, Lotus isn't very professional at all. Their support sucks and their attempts at being open about orders with customers aren't working out for customers. On December 15th and 25th, Lotus sent strings of order numbers that they had sent. On the December 15th announcement, they had corrected the total shipped orders from 1000 to 899. As to why they changed it, Tokaku will explain why.
I used to be affiliated with Lotus until July. I made a community post when I left Lotus affiliation. I'll just say this, I was the one who was originally going to make a video on this topic, except that I dropped it because of oh my god, it's just so messy. I have recorded everything about Lotus since I've known the company till mid-December. Chris was originally banned off this Mac Market Discord server. It's a place where you trade and sell mechanical keyboards. He was banned there because of keyboard scams and I think Rosecables, I'm not sure. Their rule 2 states that if there's any scam happening, report it to them even if the scam happens outside the server. And he was let back on the condition that he would sell his keyboards and all the profits will go back to Rosecable customer refunds. I wanted to know where the refunds was going because he made a post saying that he was selling his keyboards because he needed to pay his rent. So that's like I wanted to confirm, get receipts that he was getting a portion of the money. And I did. But in the process, I had to prove to them that he was also a scammer in a way, like give him my evidence. And what happened was that one of the Match Market admins told Chris about all the things I had. That's basically where my plan fell apart. You can start noticing that right after around December area, suddenly they're being extremely transparent about order numbers. I also know that Chris tried lying to me in DMs. He started telling me DMs that like there's a rat among my friend group exposing the information to him, which is actually not true. And he also said that he knew about my alt account because of this rat in my group, which is also untrue because even the people in my friend group don't actually know my alt account. If there really was a rat in my friend group, right, he would have known about this way earlier. Yeah, you found about this 2 days ago because one of the Match Market admins told you, dude.
So they tried being more transparent after they found out about the order numbers not adding up from Tokaku. But yeah, they changed the number to something lower, but this guy still can't count. Mechanical, electrical, material, and power engineer, by the way. Anyway, let's go back to the list of orders that they posted. Here, all orders in the list are said to be guaranteed to have been sent out. Well, I beg to differ. On this list we can see orders 1847 and 1850, but turns out both of them didn't even get tracking for their packages even after 2 weeks. Their orders were eventually shipped, but only 3 weeks after the initial announcement. Not to mention, extremely recently too, on 3rd of February, Lotus posted yet another string of order numbers. The first entire half of the order numbers are apparently back orders, or strange orders that fell behind due to engraving and or shipping changes. But comparing these back orders to the 2 previous strings of orders they had sent back in December, 48 out of the 86 orders had already appeared and had been guaranteed to be shipped out. They also mentioned that they now have officially shipped up to orders 2000. But didn't they already say they shipped up to order 2000 back on January 6th? But back orders aside, the customers who have order numbers that are after 2000 in the newest list are reporting that they haven't gotten emails or tracking for the orders yet, even though it's been a week. Just like the first 2 strings of order numbers back in December. I'm starting to think that they never actually shipped the orders they post till weeks later. I guess their attempts of being transparent aren't so transparent after all. But oh boy, now for the lackluster customer support on top of that. Here's a recent example from 13th of January. A customer was told to DM Chris for support because the support bots were down. As you can see here, Chris is acting far from professional in this situation by passively aggressively attacking the customer for doing exactly what they were told to do. After this conversation, the customer brought their grievances regarding Chris's behavior to the staff channel on the server, posting the private screenshots. Well, how does Lotus respond to this direct confrontation in public about Chris's behavior? They pin the blame on the customer for not reading the very bloated inconsistent updates and DMing Chris instead, making them feel like they are at fault for doing exactly what they were told to do. Whoever behind the Lotus account thought Chris's behavior was fine because in the end it got resolved and the customer got their refund. It took them this long to admit they were wrong and were going to reflect on their unprofessional behavior. 5 days later, on January 18th, Chris posted a message in the same channel saying, "It's insane how paranoid and weird some people are when we offer refunds at any point, and people just come in here to slander for the lols and leave the next day." He blames the community that people are not used to pre-orders, let alone delays, only the keyboard community is. Then talks about taking pre-orders because in the pandemic and chip shortages, the suppliers were asking for a 1000 PCB minimum MOQ order. I'll dissect this response later, but let's continue reading the conversation. Vince replies that Chris promised shipping every month for 6 months, so he asks why February is any different. One of the online staff, Zolity, replies that they closed the store to focus on shipping out products and that's why they're confident in February. To which they have a few more back and forth before Chris says he's not letting this user get attention anymore and that Vince is not being respectful and promoting satire and unprofessionalism. Then he molts about how Vince reacted to one of his messages with a joy emoji and mutes him. The rest of the conversation is just the staff continuing to spew the rules and that Lotus is not a scam. Also saying those before reminding that if they had issues to take it to DMs. So Vince just got muted for asking something completely valid. Even though he's a customer who has gotten his refund, he had the right to point out how Lotus continuously fails on their promises, just like what we went through in chapter 3.1. They're extremely unprofessional. Not to mention, let's go back to the original message Chris posted. This is riddled with lies as well. Of course, people would be concerned about their orders when they're always failing their promises. Though, it's worth noting that despite all the lies, Chris doesn't lie about refunding people. He does give refunds when asked for one. At least to my knowledge, everyone else who has asked for one has. There hasn't been any evidence of people not receiving refunds other than the partial refund order 1122 went through. He also issues refunds sometimes even when the customer did not ask for one. Apparently, a customer tried to buy a test Lotus 87 that Aubrey announced and they randomly got refunded halfway while they were asking about the order. He also claims he owns an industrial warehouse, which he does not. The only building Chris owns is the Lotus office, which is definitely not an industrial warehouse. You can see the insides of that building in the Lotus YouTube videos as well. The 1000 PCBs minimum order is a lie as well, since he hasn't ordered 1000 PCBs at all. He ordered 500 PCBs and 751 PCBs before, as we've gone through already.
Also, how do you say that there's a 1000 minimum order, but hours before have made an announcement that you ordered 750 PCBs with a straight face?
Lotus is not open with their customers at all. In fact, they're continuing to lie to customers. Anyway, another instance of unprofessionalism published publicly was a Twitter post from July 27th, 2021. A user by the name of Ivan was confronted in DMs by Chris when Chris saw another Twitter user tweet that Evan had to call out Lotus just to get his keypad. I don't know if I really need to explain this one. Personally, DMing people because you found out that they had a bad experience with your company is extremely low.
Another customer who had bought something from Lotus tried asking where their order was and was met with absolutely abhorrent customer service. He was told it was New Year's, so the post doesn't work and that if you hound me again like I'm your dog, I will refund you on the spot. And later on insults the customer, "Use your fucking brain, Zoomer." The customer, of course, wasn't happy with the treatment and points out that they are buying his product, to which Chris passively aggressively refunds him. Jesus Christ. The person who got a fake shipping label when they bought the Lotus 87 is also the person who triggered the fucking parents outburst from Chris as well. The person's mother bought the keyboard for a said customer and was noticing how fishy the business was, especially since Chris first requested that payment be done on PayPal, friends and family instead of a regular payment. When Chris kept delaying and sent a fake shipping label, the customer's mother refunded the purchase. When Chris found out about that, he began molding and bragging that he could sell the keyboard instantly and posted an announcement selling it. After that, he began bragging to the customer that he sold the keyboard within minutes. I don't think I need to point out that this is an extremely unprofessional way to respond to someone refunding your product. But anyway, despite selling the keyboard in the announcement, they somehow worked things out and the refund was reversed and he eventually got the keyboard. But about the person who bought from that announcement, well,
Who knows? Generally, the Lotus server is a mess of unprofessionalism. The Twitter updates channel includes updates of his personal Twitter account. The original updates channel, before it was archived, contained a ton of announcements that read like this. Business server, by the way. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he just enjoys the attention. But well, okay, so customer support sucks and their transparency isn't exactly transparent, but at least you can complain, right? Oh no, now there's censorship too. Yeah, we're going there. The company that goes around saying in its announcements that it's being transparent and strives to be open with customers has censorship. On the Lotus server, there's a questions channel where customers can ask questions related to the server. But guess what? That actually is not the first questions channel. There was originally another channel by the same name. It was deleted on December 13th, and gee, I wonder why. There was nothing but people using the channel as order support. Anyone looking at the channel could see the massive number of people who hadn't received their order and how old their order was. However, a new questions channel was created again the day after. Customers were now heavily discouraged from asking where their orders were and told to DM the support bot or staff instead. This is one of the ways Chris would try to drive customer unhappiness away from the public eye. With the old questions and the order number sharing culture deleted, it's harder for people to notice what's happening. But deleting questions and replacing it with a new one isn't exactly the most direct form of censorship. You could argue that it's not really censorship at all, but guess what? Fuck, never mind, you know what I'm about to do already. Yeah, they have direct censorship too. A user by the name of Ferry actually confronted Lotus about his order and his inconsistencies in the new questions channel quite recently on the 30th of December. Ferry's criticism got deleted and Lotus responded with questions is not regarding orders and was told to express his concerns in the staff channel instead. Note that the staff channel until this point was a dead spam or troll channel, not originally intended for this purpose. So moving forward to the staff channel. This is an extremely long read, but basically Ferry had noticed the false promises that Lotus gave and began detailing his own observations about them. Long story short, it's the same story as with the previous buyers. Updates not met, asking about delays and packages not sent. Lotus responded to them and pretty much said that they've got yet another shortage of materials, and this time the excuse is that their supplier is out of crystal fade acrylic. What's also interesting is that in this response, this fam literally compared his business to game delays like, haha, look, you know, Cyberpunk was delayed too, which I personally find just hilarious. So in the end, what do we have? We have Chris not only proving that he hasn't changed the slight bit in regards to excuses for delays from his own updates channel, the way he handles his customers and the censorship. This is history repeating itself, basically. It's quite obvious that Lotus actively tries to hide people who point out shipping problems and unmet promises. Ferry got bashed by Chris for sending his complaint publicly instead of using the Discord bot or contacting staff directly, and this only adds salt to the wound. Another thing to mention is that when Ferry was asked about what happened, he said that there were also people agreeing with his original post, but those were deleted never to be seen again. All in all, I'm just fairly certain that Chris is trying his best to suppress any public complaints, whether be it directly or indirectly, in order to create an illusion of a job well done. And when this complaint got reposted from the questions channel to the staff channel, Chris didn't delete it again. The Ferry situation also isn't the only case of censorship. But before talking about that, but let me give you some context. On the 14th of December, Chris had a conversation in the general channel on Lotus, talking about how he does ship orders but barely anyone takes pictures even though he has shipped 1000 keypads. We've already went through in the timeline that the 1000 figure at this point of time is a lie, but in any case, someone suggested creating a verified role when they post a picture of their keypad when it arrives. And so, on the same day, the verified Lotus owner role was implemented. Context over? So 5 days later, after the ferry situation, a user was trying to get the verified Lotus owner role on the server. Chris was surprised that he was such an early order, as his order number was 1010, meaning he ordered in March 2021. To which he replied that he bought the keypad after seeing Tokaku use the prototype on a video. Just mentioning Tokaku in Lotus' server made Chris mold and DM him directly to remove the message from the server, or he would do it himself. As to how I got these screenshots, the person in question got curious as to why Chris reacted like this and sent an email to Tokaku asking why this happened and attached them. Another thing Mai had pointed out to me was that back then Chris really hated influencers in general. This might be the case here. In conclusion, yeah, both direct and indirect censorship is taking place on the server right now. Just like the lying and delays, this mirrors the censorship that took place in Rosecables before. If the delays, customer experiences and censorship wasn't bad enough, there's still more. So far, Chris has sponsored OSU tourneys such as Global Taiko Showdown's 2021 tournaments, which would be CGTS, AGTS and EGTS, and OSU RO Summer Tournament to name a few. This is supposedly the for the community by the community part of Lotus. The high keypad price tags were justified as the money goes back to the community in tournament prizes and prize pools. Well, let's see how well that played out. In the CGTS OSU Taiko tournament that ended in late April 2021, winners were promised a cash prize, a plaque to the winner's name and a specially made Taiko keypad. But for the other GTS tournaments after CGTS, the prizes were just cash prizes and a trophy. The CGTS winners aren't getting their physical prizes. What a surprise! As you can see from the other announcement, we can infer that the custom Taiko keypad prize is most likely scrapped at this point. Tokaku asked one of the winners for CGTS and he hasn't received any of the physical prizes even today. Though the cash prize has been sent, but months late. Normally cash prizes are awarded a week after the end of the tournament. But to make matters worse, the Lotus account tweeted a picture of 3D printed trophies for OSU RO and EGTS in late September. As far as I know, the winners in the OSU RO tournament did receive their trophy and keypad prizes, but as for EGTS, they haven't yet. So, the usual, delays and undelivered promises. Now, let's talk about the other half of giving back to the community, the giveaways. The first instance of Lotus sponsoring a giveaway was on February 10th, before the store was officially opened or sold keypads. They sponsored Tokaku's Discord server's giveaway, promising a keypad for the winner. The giveaway ended on March 11th. Note that at this point of time, there was no Lotus keypad that we're all too familiar with. There was only the prototype, since Lotus wasn't done with their product and their store was not open. Because of this, the winner was given the option between choosing to receive a prototype immediately or wait for the final version to be released and receive it later. They never got the keypad. The best part is that Chris said in DMs that the keypad was sent already, but till today, the winner has not received anything. The other giveaways that Chris has held was on the Lotus Twitter account. He promised a Lotus 87, a 10 keyless keyboard version of the Lotus, as the giveaway prize for the Twitter giveaway. The giveaway ended in April, and surprise surprise, the winner still hasn't received their prize.
As for Oni, I know exactly who you are, so don't worry. You're literally on my radar. I don't forget about anybody. I know that you won that one giveaway, and you are getting it.
There was another giveaway that happened on the server. It had the same price, Lotus 87. For whatever reason, the winner of the Discord giveaway is the same person as the Twitter giveaway. I don't think there's any giveaway bot rigging here, I just thought that was strange. Another giveaway that Lotus sponsored was for one of his moderators' Discord server on April 10th, 2021. The winner was promised an engraved frosted Lotus 87, and they still haven't gotten the prize either. The giveaway ended 2 days later on the 12th, and the winner still hasn't gotten their prize today. On the same server, there was also a giveaway of an old Lotus keypad on June 24, 2021. Whether the winner got their prize for that one, I have no idea. So I guess that's more lies to add to the laundry list of lies and false promises to have made. Basically, like, for the community, my foot. So let's imagine ourselves in such a timeline where you ordered the keypad and it actually arrived. Was it worth the wait? Was it worth the 45 bucks? Well, a little spoiler alert for you guys. No! Let's examine this thing part by part. At the very beginning of the business, Chris loved to boast about how he was the first one to invent a PCB with 14K Hz that solved chord splitting. More on this can be read in this very iconic tweet longer by yours truly. The keypad actually uses the open source firmware QMK. QMK is the firmware normally used on custom keyboards. It runs on a maximum of 1000 Hz. There is no way to set a QMK firmware to run faster than that. Not to mention, QMK flashed keyboards are only able to send one key per pulse cycle, which puts it at 1 millisecond chord split. After getting called out by people that it does chord split, he changed his story to the keypad doesn't run at 14K Hz, but it runs that quickly internally, which I also highly doubt that it does. Now, Chris loves to tell us how his PCB won't ever chatter or double tap due to its design, which is wrong because it did chatter and double tap, according to Tokaku, who received both the prototype and the final product.
After doing the 36 switch video, it started chattering, and I have a video of that. That was when I started realizing that, well, okay, so it means that what he said is not true. And then he says things about materials where the material will absorb vibrations and shit. And because it absorbs vibrations different from keyboards, it makes it like a stamina cheat pad.
The keypad actually uses the usual KL hot swap sockets found on hot swap keyboards and isn't anything as special as what Lotus claims. KL hot swap sockets have a failure rate of 100 swaps, which is what happened to Tokaku. When she asked Lotus about it, he said that the keypad only stops the sockets from dying while inside the keypad, not swapping switches in and out. That's bullshit, because hot swap sockets usually only ever loosen or die due to user error during switch swapping. The whole keypad stops the pins in the switches from vibrating in the sockets that he claimed to stop the sockets from dying is also honestly bullshit. But now, let's talk about the actual physical design of the PCB. First of all, take a closer look at that PCB. I won't go too deep into this since my knowledge in PCB design is very limited, but basically there's two things I'm gonna point out here. Why is nothing on that PCB labeled? And the second is, those traces are absolute dog water. They look auto-generated like drop keyboards, it has no logic to it. Point 2 is funnily ironic because he claims a hardware advantage due to the traces, that it's what contributes to having a fast PCB, but they're bad. Though to note, on normal full-on keyboards, the traces would matter, but this is simply a 2K keypad. It won't affect much at all, because data moving through the traces are electricity. Electricity is basically fucking light. Let that sink in for 2 seconds. With the PCB out of the way, here's a certainly interesting situation that happened to Emrek, the #1 OSU player to date. What? Another instance of this was tweeted a few months prior as well. Funnily enough, on the AMA that took place on 16th of January 2022, he talked about how Poon had 0 issues with his keypad and it never double taps.
I know the Poon is like a Linux nut, and he literally like hooked the keypad up to Linux and used it for like 4 or 5 months, and he literally told me it never double tapped, not even once. So, and that was like the first 10 keypads I've ever made. So this still had like metal screws and everything else.
But here's another clip of the keypad losing input on the Poon's stream. What? Sure, it wasn't double tapping then, but it did stop working like Emrek's one. Tokaku also confirmed that this has happened to her too, but she doesn't have the recording of that anymore. Unbreakable my ass. Enough said, moving on. Apparently, the keypad has the most revolutionary material engineered case, with effects similar to that of Nike Vaporfly shoes. This argument was the ground and heart to the product being an actual stamina cheat. Except this thing is an acrylic sandwich. Simple as that. Lotus claims that apparently acrylic cases have to do something with reducing the stress on your hands, which is... The whole stamina thing is placebo at best. Overall, this keypad is extremely overpriced, even ignoring all of the outlandish claims that Lotus makes about it. This is an acrylic sandwich 2-key keyboard. Acrylic sandwiches aren't that expensive. This guy has over-exaggerated and lied about what his keypad can do. As we know, people have tried to call Chris out or had publicly disliked him and his businesses in the past. Chris would deflect all criticism and blame anything else or label it false and slander. Back when Chris's ownership of Lotus was outed, people would share the document Mai made about Chris back during Summit Cables as to why you shouldn't buy a Lotus keypad. Because if you bought one, you were supporting this kind of abusive person. This is a long read I'm not going to go through, but I'll link it in the description if you want to read it yourself. Basically, it talks about how Chris was abusive in their relationship and how much he lies in general. This is more of a personal expose document. It's not really related to the Lotus business or the Summit Cables business, although it was the best and longest thing people had as evidence about how Chris was as a person. But let's go back in time and go over the responses Chris gave to the Google Doc when it was posted on February 13th, 2020. He gave two responses shortly after the doc was made public. The first one being a live response, he wrote from beginning to end in front of an audience, and the second one being a more formal response. While Mai backed up the first live response, she unfortunately wasn't able to back up the second formal one. So let's take a look at and examine the one we have access to, shall we? Slander, hatred, harassment, distrust, misinformation, lies. So, the Japanese Tower GF story is apparently true according to him, and this is the final piece of vital evidence. A giant scar. Do I even have to tell you that this just looks like a scratch from like a sharp object? Okay, so here I got like, this is a micro USB cable, like just scratch. Can you see it? I'm just gonna touch a better photo of this. Apparently I got scratched by my Japanese Stubber XGF. So yeah, moving on. He also stands by the claim that his mother is dead, even after Mai caught him by the ass. He claims that he has a stepmother, but if that's the case, I don't know shit about biology, since I have no fucking clue how his stepmother, alive and well, hidden from everyone, until Mai just randomly heard her yell about giving birth to him. Moving on. He still stands by going to Final Fantasy Distant Worlds in Seattle, even though Mai showed us solid evidence of him going to Seattle from Bend, watching the orchestra and then flying home in less than 12 hours. And I just checked to make sure, but missing the orchestra completely? Here he leaks some DMs between Mai and himself about her telling a friend at the time, Sky, that his crush, whom he had an obsession with, started dating someone else, after which Mai started to act kinda inappropriately.
He had this obsession with a girl on Twitter, and he really wanted to get to know her and wanted me to introduce her to him. Mind you, I had no affiliation with this girl in the past. He wanted me to befriend her and third wheel him. And I have really bad social anxiety, but I was still able to get access to her private Twitter account, and that's where I find out that she recently got into a relationship that she didn't post in public. And Sky was a giga simp. He also had a very questionable mental state going on and would constantly talk about how nothing drives him in life except for maybe being able to get together with this girl. So I felt like I was taking a lot of responsibility. That, along with Chris treating me like a dipshit, I just didn't feel well, and it was just took a toll on me.
The rest of the document basically says, lol, it's all a lie, without providing any evidence. A couple peculiar takes we have there are that the Year of the Bat was related to Ducky Shine's Year of the Bat keyboard, but there's no Ducky Shine Year of the Bat. The other one is about the group buy of KBD's 67MK2, where he claimed that he supplied parts out of his own pocket, as well as something about a refund to Mai, which he was going to post evidence about, but never did. So yeah, the rest of the doc is just him going lol nice meme or that didn't happen, without backing anything up, and that just wraps up the slander document. But there's still more to this. Behind the scenes, when people begin questioning him about the document, when his ownership of Lotus was outed, he would tell them that his ex-girlfriend was a crazy psycho EX because she wrote a 17-page Google document on him despite only dating him for 5 to 6 months, and that the document is nothing but exaggerations and lies and was a personal attack in order to take down his totally legit business. He would also say that the things in it are so insane that there is no way it's real. But let's just move on to another one of Chris's responses. This document was written as a response to the hacking incident that happened early May 2021. This response is still available, so let's read it. In this document, Chris again tries to put his scam company as a victim of a hate mob that's formed around him. He briefly mentions Mai's document and writes it off as slander, which we already covered plenty in the previous section. Skipping over the whole rebranding thing, he starts talking about the whole Cerakoder issue. Well, they may have lost their supplier and tried to do in-house Ceracoding, it doesn't change the fact that he has rejected help from the community despite making this announcement. The fallout part is basically trying to put the blame on customers for asking for refunds. So basically, damn you bastards, so what you waited for the eternity and got nothing, you could have waited a little more. Then he talks about the Discord hacking situation, and there he's saying that there is no reason to stage this incident. Whether or not he was genuinely hacked, I wouldn't know, because there's no solid evidence pointing otherwise. Moving over to the high-profile actors manipulating information into creating online hate groups chapter, he apparently still has no idea why people are getting outraged and goes on about how he is the saint here, who is trying his best to keep the business afloat and making his dream come true. Like, damn, how dare you call him a scammer after he's got a fuck ton of backlog and their only point of communication with him suddenly and conveniently disappeared. As we're approaching the end of this doc, he covers the Discord servers that customers had created. Let's go over the pictures. Figure 3. Oh my god, what are they doing? They're trying to get attention to the scam from Reddit, how could they? Figure 4. So he's trying to say that his cables take much longer since they're premium and customizable in comparison to Mech Cables, another company that also makes premium handmade cables that are completely customizable. Figure 5. Same flooring, same business. Well, yeah, this didn't age well. Figure 10 to 11. Holy shit, this guy said just kidding twice, and Chris still didn't apparently get that it was a joke. Figure 16. Yeah, that's how you fucking develop trust in an exit scam. Until you've developed trust, no one's gonna buy from you. Yeah, I've skipped some figures, mostly due to how minor or obvious they are, but you get the gist of it. Here they are, you can pause to read them if you want. Lastly, he mentions how he's gonna release a cookbook on how to make your own custom cable, but that never happened, so... Anyway, let's fast forward to a more present time. On December 5th, Tokaku posted a video on her spam channel telling people not to buy a Lotus keypad. It didn't take too long for the Lotus staff to notice the video 8 days later. Apparently in the staff chat, Chris said this about the video. I'm not sure what he means by he'll get her codes out today, because if he meant shipping all of the orders that used her code, only 13 of the 45 Tokaku code orders were shipped on December 15th's order updates post, which can be seen here by comparing the list with the Tokaku code order list Tokaku has. But if he meant that he was removing the code the customer used on all the orders so that Tokaku doesn't make any affiliate money, well, Tokaku has never been paid in the first place.
When I saw that, I was just like, what the hell is he going on about? I've never been paid. If he takes off the code, I still don't get money. And you know what? I don't want any money.
In another conversation, he also says that she threatened to use her audience against him. And no, this did not happen. This is a he said she said situation, but here's an Imgur album of the DMs between Chris and Tokaku when things began going south. And he painted her as a bad person for asking for a refund. What refund? Well, I'll let her interview explain it.
He also painted me as a bad guy for asking him for a refund. This is a bit long story. I actually gave him money, 1,800 in my currency, to build a steno keyboard for me. And of course, after a while, I realized, shit, okay, it's never gonna come. Dude, he's not even done with 3K. He's not even done with 87. The prototype's there, but he's not done with it, okay? So I'm just like, okay, the keyboard that he's supposed to make for me is never coming. I want the refund. And then in the staff chat, I can't believe he said that, like, I had to refund her thousands of dollars and then painted me as a bad guy for asking a refund. Like, boy, this is sounding eerily familiar. I feel like I've heard that he done this somewhere.
Also here he says that Tokaku is hunting him down as per usual, but according to Tokaku, the crepe thing is an insignificant thing to bring up because she never hunted down crepe. And that wraps up the responses I've gathered so far. One thing to note is that he usually discredits people by saying that they didn't try talking to him directly first, hence they're looking to take him down and aren't trying to help him. And I won't be surprised if he says this video is slander and an attack by some kind of hate group, so I'll debunk this before he starts using that as an excuse. This video is a warning for customers and not for Chris, because I have absolutely zero faith in him changing or improving in the first place. I think that confronting him won't fix anything. After the Tokaku mech market fiasco, he did try to be more transparent with customers, but this act didn't last more than slightly over a week. He continued to overpromise orders, like saying that orders 2000 to 2400 will be out by the end of January, and it's the end of January already and those orders aren't out yet. Cole actually was put into a confrontation with him where he directly questioned him about his lies. There is no recorded evidence of this call, but Cole did write a summary of his responses while it was happening on call. This is not the most solid piece of evidence, but he did talk about it in an interview.
He just basically denied everything without any backing up proof. He just left once I started bringing up the hard shit.
So like, he started ghosting you or something?
He blocked me, I think.
Hell, this entire video is about how this guy hasn't changed, so of course that I doubt that any criticism he receives won't help him. So to summarize, Chris discredits people and makes up shit about them. This is the insane section. Yep, the other parts aren't as insane as this. So sit back, relax, and maybe grab yourself a drink, because hell, this is a ride. This section includes extra lies Chris has about his business or just crazy shit he has said or done in general. I've put all of these at the very end of this video because Chris would tell people who questioned him about the My document that it was a personal attack about personal things in order to bring down his business. I am not bringing these points up as an attack on his character. This is just for extra context about this guy. Hell, I've even already explained earlier how he acts during Lotus, and some of the actions here are recent as well. Basically, I'm trying to say that this guy lies a lot, even in private or just on anything under the goddamn sun, and that he has been a pathological liar for years. Though a thing to note is that some of the things of the past are from word of mouth and hence does not have evidence, but if I have evidence, I'll show it. Chris actually has an even longer track record of scamming people. This is the hearsay part, but apparently he has a poor reputation in the custom keyboard community that actually stems from his shitty behavior and previous attempts at scamming people out of their very valuable collector's keyboards a few years ago. From what I have gathered, he has stolen a TGR Alice, which are now sold for more than 5 to 6 grand on Mac market. And the Matrix 8X 2.2. This is a picture Chris took to showcase his Matrix collection back in the days. And the stolen one is the silver one, seen right here on the right. And we go even further back in time, we have video clips of him scamming children on CSGO in 2015.
What's going on? Sorry, I went to go get some ice cream.
He's panicking.
Why is he panicking?
I'm trying to explain. He agreed to a trade, and now he's trying to back out on it.
Oh god, dude.
You told me that was insurance.
You agreed, dude.
Okay, then what was all that shit about insurance that you said? Was that all just a lie, just so you could get my knife and make money?
Savvy, did you hear me say anything about insurance?
Yeah, you
Oh
did when he
my
was
god.
gone. Oh my
Dude,
god.
dude, while I was gone? Oh my, why did you listen to him?
I didn't say shit about insurance while you were gone, dude. This kid's lying, dude. He agreed to do the trade, and I gave him an even amount. He said, that looks like
That is not
250.
even
Okay,
amount.
you heard.
Cause, okay, listen. What Grim told me is that you backed out on the Karamba deal and you just wanted money.
I did not.
That's what he's telling me. That's what he said. I don't know.
You trust the kid that's crying over the. I can't believe this. I thought I could trust you guys.
Hey, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
You backed out on the Karambit deal. You even said, I don't want to do the Karambit deal. I want
No,
to wait.
and then I said, wait, and then you mentioned the insurance. Sabi, you remember how you mentioned the insurance?
Yeah, that was between me and you. That had no. Yeah.
And then he said, you know what, Sabi's still pissed at you, so I'll do the insurance thing. So
I
was
never
like,
once said that I would do the insurance. I said I,
can't
have
believe you
$250 in inventory if you want to trade it for the knife.
You don't guilt scammy like a 12-year-old kid out of his knife. That just so.
Hey, that wasn't me. Hey, that wasn't me.
I worked so hard for that money.
Hey, whoa, that wasn't me, dude.
Though he has apologized for the CSGO scams back in his live response during Rosecables. It wasn't really much of an apology, to be honest. Chris likes to brag about his qualifications. Back in the past, he used to claim to be an orchestra owner, orchestra pianist, record label owner, marine biologist, artist, and in a voice call with someone else, he tried to convince the person that he was a member in Team Grimoire. But Team Grimoire is one person. Today, he likes to say he's the mastermind behind everything in Lotus. He claims that he's made the PCB, he claims that he's made the website, that he's the material engineer, power engineer, software engineer, like basically he's a fucking god is what he says. Let's look over each thing he claims to be. The keypad has no standoffs for the PCB. The PCB rattles and moves freely in the case without any switches on it. Doesn't really scream mechanical engineer to me. He didn't realize there was no way that the keypad could run at 14k Hz software-wise, and when he did, he blamed it on misinformation by other people. If he was such a genius at what he does, how did he get something so simple wrong? Also, in order to achieve an extremely high polling rate on a device, you would need to write your own firmware, and you'll require a team of people with master degrees and a proper R&D team, both of which he does not have. I mean, he didn't even know that in order to achieve this, he had to have them in the first place. He's not a material engineer. Absolutely nothing in his keypad had material engineering involved. Even then, why would you even need a material engineer for this? To synthesize your own acrylic? Well, he orders his acrylic. I don't know what to say here honestly. This guy can just take any word and add engineer to it for bragging rights or something. The traces on the PCB are bad, and make matters worse, the PCB wasn't even designed by him. It was made by his ex-girlfriend Caitlin, and so we have the funny coincidence of that after she left, any progress regarding the 3K stopped. According to this AMA hosted on the Lotus server, he has ordered 4 different Lotus 3K prototypes and none of them work.
I have the 3K. I have like 4 prototypes. They just don't turn on.
Out of all kinds of engineering, why claim to be a power engineer? In any case, he's not a power engineer. He actually took the title from his ex, Caitlin. Again, here you can see him mention it too. Though he himself has stated later on in response to Cole's confrontation and his AMA that you don't need to have a degree to call yourself an engineer.
What qualifications help you for engineering? I don't know, man. Like, just study a bunch of shit and call yourself an engineer after a while. Like, you don't need a fucking degree. Like, you can call yourself anything you want, dude. Nobody cares. As long as you don't do anything, like, really dumb. Like, if you call yourself an archaeologist, like, of course you're gonna have to, like, go out into the desert and, like, dig up, like, statues and shit. Like, of course, you know?
This is true. There are many self-taught individuals out there who have many personal projects under their belt, worthy of calling themselves an engineer. But as I've explained earlier, he can do a lot less than what he implies that he can. Also, in the first AMA he said this.
What other products have you made? I've made a bike motor. I'm right now I'm working on a manufacturing laser. I'm building a laser. I know CNC programming. I've built a knife. I've made music boxes. I've just made a lot of stuff.
But after seeing how much this guy lies and over-exaggerates, I honestly doubt any of this is real or that he did any high-tier work like he makes it sound. TLDR, his qualifications or what he can do are exaggerated, self-diagnosed claims or titles taken from people he knows. Also, he started claiming during Lotus that he has worked at Square Enix too, which is funny considering that he has also told someone else before that he never graduated high school or college. So remember how Chris said he's an artist? This man doesn't even draw. And he still claims to have made money through composing and drawing hentai today. Earlier in 2021, Lotus branched out and created an art account on Twitter by the handle @osucomics, where they would, well, post comics about Osu. And claimed to have drawn those images. As it turns out, it's actually Caitlyn who drew them. Not only does he steal Caitlyn's academic achievements, he also takes credit and steals her art. Also, comics does not exist anymore, hence the lack of comics to show. Except it does. Not long after Caitlyn left and they disabled Osu Comics, Chris re-enabled it again and renamed it to Angelside and made it into his personal Twitter account. He did not gather these 600 plus followers from just composing and posting music. All that hard work actually goes to Caitlyn. That's not the only recent example of him stealing art. In this screenshot, he claims to have drawn artwork for some t-shirts, except the three to the left are drawn by Nadegata, and the one to the right was drawn by Caitlyn. And here are other instances of him claiming Caitlyn's art is his in private. And lastly, in a previous AMA, he says this.
I'm starting to draw again. That's gonna be fun. Yeah, Osu Comics Revival, dude. Well, I'm just posting music on it right now. You guys want the new Twitter handle? You guys can follow it if you want. There you go. Is this Sereda? I have no idea. Oh, it is. I guess it is Sereda. Is this like a VTuber? I love their avatar. I did not draw that, no. Oh shit, I gotta delete that. Uh-oh. Wrong one.
So yeah, the drawing is actually made by @_NSTGLIE for Sarado. Hey, maybe you don't have motivation to make art anymore because your motivation broke up with you months ago. To excuse his own delays, he compares the long wait for his products to other companies. He has compared his delays and wait times to JMK keycap sets, keyboard group buys, Foxbox, Whitecat plushies, OWC physical prizes, and Cyberpunk 2077. This is something he does a lot, but let's be real, those don't have confusing waits and delays that look like it can beat the FNAF timeline. Oh yeah, we're dropping in his third business this far into the video. Except wait, it doesn't exist! This guy has been lying about this aquarium business ever since the beginning. He claimed that he refunded Rosecables customers with aquarium money and he claimed to have bought the buildings with that money. Damn, this guy seems to have made so much money selling aquariums. But does or did he really own one? No. Take a look at this pic. If he's talking about owning the building he's taking the picture from, that's just from the current Lotus building. But if he's saying that he owns these two buildings, yeah, let's examine the one on the right first, since that one's gonna be pretty quick. This is an apartment building. Chris claims to own an apartment building. And it's also closed. So what this guy is claiming is that he has an entire apartment building just for himself? Let's look at the second building. As you can see, the building is called Clinton Paper Company, but in truth, Google Maps says that it's actually a building for a business called Vital Wealth. Vital Wealth is not on Open Corporates, but from their website, at the bottom, it's written that the company is the acting name of a company called Central Wealth Management LLC. By clicking on this button and then their Form ADV, then this button, Central Wealth Management is not a sole proprietor company. It's owned by multiple people. And man, I didn't know Chris was one of the board of directors in a financial management firm too. Yeah, I call bullshit that he owns those two buildings. Back during Rosecables, he would say that he worked 20 hours a day, and hey, he still does that in Lotus right now. And as for someone who works so much, he surely gets really little keypads shipped out. Also, he tweeted recently that he finished an EX trial on Final Fantasy XIV. Yeah, this guy never sleeps, so he can game too. And not to mention all the music he composed in his free time. Yeah, maybe he actually lives on Venus or something. Funnily enough, the latest video posted on the Lotus YouTube channel is also seriously like something else.
That's the box. I think we just packed 2 orders today. We're gonna pack another, like, I don't know,
how many is over there? Like 100?
I also don't really understand why it's so difficult for him to post the products. He clearly has made the keypads already, he just doesn't post them. On Google Maps, you can see that the USPS post office is a 7-minute walk away from his office. And before you say that the streets of America aren't very walk-friendly, there's a clear pedestrian road all the way to the post office. Not to mention, he also posted a video on the Lotus server of him walking to the post office.
Hey, what's up, Lotus people? We are walking to the post office in the middle of the night to get out your packages. There's like 30 or 20 right there. Let's go.
Multiple people that have helped Lotus did not get paid for their work. Support ticket staff were not paid for their work, but this is a known thing. When Lotus originally announced that they were recruiting community staff members, they said it would be an unpaid internship position. Unpaid positions are unpaid positions, so it's no surprise they don't get paid. The damning thing is that the graphics designer in charge of our very iconic LotusPro logo, he was promised a keypad prototype as compensation for his work, but to this day, 1 year after finishing his work, he has yet to receive his keypad. The frustrating thing about all this is that just recently, on January 4th, Chris expressed that he was looking for GFX artists and was promising very good pay considering other companies. How about just paying your old workers first, Chris? Like, the audacity, like, really? There are affiliates who haven't gotten paid either. Tokaku has not been paid, Scythe has not been paid, Raid also has not been paid, and Grizzly has only been paid $20 once and isn't getting other payouts. Though recently, a few days ago, Chris finally responded to Grizz and Riot with how many orders used their code and that he will send the payouts. Grizz speculates that he only finally got to it because he might have seen this comment of his on TikTok. On the other hand, there are affiliates who have been paid. Zooty has been paid and was apparently given extra for being cool. And also, according to Cole, there has been someone who did get paid, and that was Blue. He was apparently paid $400 for his time there. In Mai's document, she writes that Chris has lied that he was a part of Cloud9's B team on CSGO and lied about being challenger on League of Legends back during Summit Cables, and it looks like this behavior hasn't changed today either. A number of times in private, he would brag to friends that he used to be a pro BMS player, but if you look at the clip he sent of how he played during his heyday, it's pretty clear that he's not at the pro standard. There was another time that he streamed himself playing 7 key on Osu. He hasn't played for a while, so he was rusty. But even with rust, a pro player wouldn't be getting 85% accuracy on 5-star maps. The only game he was pro at that he doesn't lie about is also Catch the Beat. He claims he used to be ranked number 2 globally back then.
I was ranked 2 in CTB, dude. I played CTB for a long time. I don't play anymore though.
Which, according to this video, didn't happen. But chances are he got the rank for a few hours and lost it quickly. But the global rank number 2 claims would still be true. He used to claim that he could deadlift 170 kilos back then, which he can't. And recently, on the Lotus server, he posted an announcement that he wanted to become a healthier individual. Gotta love that humble brag that he can deadlift 550 pounds. But yeah, no, there's no way he can deadlift that much when he looks like this. Not to mention, shortly afterwards, he said that he was looking for a gym, which is funny, because wouldn't you already have a gym you go to if you're able to deadlift 550 pounds? Back during the Rosecables era, Chris would claim that his mother was dead and that the woman in his house was his sister. Well, it turns out this woman was in fact the biological mother who gave birth to him. But wait, Chris joking about the death of close ones doesn't stop there. Here we have Chris coming up with a very heartbreaking sub-story, using the passing of his father in early 2021 as a main factor as to why Rosecables went downhill and was forced to shut down. Except here, in this screenshot taken from LotusPro's staff chat in October 2021, he claims his father is dying. again! Also, apparently now he's the one who is dying. Like, come to think of it, that was also mentioned in Mai's document back during Summit Cables too. During Mai's interview, she said this.
We used to have a staff channel, and he would post Reddit posts that he did not like, which would be like Reddit posts from his competitors or Instagram posts of competitors, and then make us go to those posts, downvote or dislike them, and then leave bad comments.
There's no concrete evidence that he still actively sends stuff to do this, but there's a few rather suspicious situations that have happened. Spaza made a review of the Simpad, a much cheaper alternative to the Lotus Keypad, and received comments like this. A new account. Emilia tweeted against Lotus back on July 25th, 2021. His Twitter account is suspended now, so I can't retrieve the original tweets, but by searching his Twitter handle, we're able to see the replies public accounts had made to him, and there's this user who is extremely aggressive in the replies. The user was a new alt account made as well. He has no tweets except replies defending Chris and attacking Emilia on his profile. They actually got outed by another Twitter user that they were using an alt later on. It's not an alt of Chris, that's one thing for sure. Another instance of someone getting hate comments was a person who made a Reddit post that Lotus was run by the same person who ran Rosecables. They replied to Emilia's tweets saying that they got harassed in their DMs by a storm of new Reddit accounts. Just a reminder that this is all tinfoil hat speculation, but this sure is... And that's about it for the extras. That was a lot, wasn't it? And that brings us to today. The latest order number seen publicly is order 3057. Today the store is closed. It was closed on January 11th and is set to be open again on March 1st when they're done with all the backlog. They're also vowing to never do pre-orders ever again, and when they open the store, they'll be doing in stock only. The last order update was from January 6th, where they said they were done with orders up to 2000 and would be working on US orders 2000 to 2250 afterwards. But January is over, and the promised order US order 2000 to 2250 is nowhere to be seen, and neither are the orders 2000 to 2400 from December 28th claim. Since those are all missing in January, they've changed the claim to orders 2000 to 2600 will be sent out on 5th to 6th February, and so will orders 2600 to 3000 on the 15th to 20th February. Recently, on January 18th, he made an announcement saying that his supplier is sending him 750 PCBs, and because of those PCBs, he'll have a lot of in-stock units ready to be shipped in March. Then a week later, he does get a box of 751 PCBs. So this guy is so sure to be in stock and that he will never do pre-orders ever again, just like the times he had claimed this exact same thing before. Today sure feels like something we've gone through before. And another thing he mentions a lot recently is this in real life business he has, which is why he changed the Twitter handle from Lotus Mech to LotusPro 3D, because now he does 3D printing services in his shop, or something as said in his latest YouTube update.
So first off, we're building another printer because we're expanding and changing our business to LotusPro 3D. The reason why is because we're doing a lot of 3D part stuff now.
He mentions this in his announcements, his AMAs and his YouTube update videos. Whether this business actually exists or not is a mystery, but from the sounds of it, making keypads and OSU products is on the back burner. They also announced that they'll be moving their shop to Etsy or eBay as well, and revamping their website, Discord server and social media. Did they revamp this stuff? Well, the most they've changed is the order shipping page on the website, changing their Twitter handle and bio, and creating a new category on their Discord server. They also announced that they'll be moving all future updates to their YouTube channel and website starting from February 1st, and that their last update on Discord will be on January 28th. Whether or not they'll follow through this claim, only time will tell. Also, speaking of their YouTube channel, on their January 17th AMA, they said that they were going to upload this live to YouTube and everywhere else, but the AMA is not on their channel. It's a minor detail, but I wanted to point it out just because. To wrap this up, too long didn't watch, this guy is still lying today. What's new, really? And that's the end of this massive info dump. Put simply, Chris hasn't changed no matter how much he claimed to have. Everything said about Chris in Rosecables is happening to Lotus right now. Just to refresh your memory, we went through how his previous company Rosecables went, how he lies about his numbers and fails to deliver keypads by any promised date, his most absurd excuses for delays ranging from Steam Decks monopolizing his manufacture to even going as far as to faking the death of his parents, him doing the opposite of helping the community because he doesn't deliver on tournament prizes or giveaways, lies and exaggerations about his products and his capabilities and qualifications, him taking credit for other people's work, him not paying people, that he still makes fake shipping labels and treats customers horribly, and his lies about random personal shit in general. But despite all of that, there are two things that he has done that are true. He has refunded Rosecables customers, but I have no idea if he refunded all of them, and that he does offer refunds for current Lotus customers at any point right now. Because of these points, he's not an outright scam, and whether his previous company was an exit scam is up for debate. But even with these 2 points in mind, this is the shadiest thing I've ever seen. If this ever somehow manages to be legit and actually become an in-stock item on their website one day, I will eat my words and buy their keypad. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for watching till the end.
You guys remember Morgan, right? Right. Where's the one where he spams the N-word like 10 times? Oh shit. No, it's not there. Wrong one. Oh, I have one right here. Oh, if you guys don't know, like, since I'm a sponsor, I've talked with like literally every top player, dude. Everyone's fucking racist. Like, everyone said the N-word. Like, everyone, dude. You don't even know. Like, you guys don't even know.